Arcana Invoker is a 2-target DPS class. It mostly deals magical damage, so you should base your build on Wizard, alongside your awe enhancement of choice. Introducing Forge to the build, you can add Lament and Pneuma. Now, when deciding what to get for your weapon slot, take a look at how quickly you can get rid of your mana using your 4 skill. You also use your 3 skill a lot. That's right, Arcana Invoker is an Elysium user. Alright, let's take a look at what potions you can take to battle. As a magic damage dealer, you can always rely on Sage and Malevolence, but you can also get by with Fate and Destruction. Finally, you can take either Potent Honor or Felicitous Filter for your active slot. The spell rotation might look complicated at first, but actually it's really straightforward. Arcana Invoker is one of those classes where you cycle through 2 different modes. In this case, the 2 modes are called the Fool and Zawardo. You end up dealing an extremely high damaging nuke at the end of Zawardo, and just as a fun fact, it takes about 1 minute to go from the start to that point. So get started by pressing 2 on your target, which will give you the Fool, which is the first of your Arcana cards. At this point, whenever you press 3, you get a new Arcana card, but you also refresh the effect from all the previous cards. You want to press 3 a total of 20 times, or until you see Judgment. Before moving on though, let's understand how to use 4. Whenever you press 4, first of all, you lose a bunch of mana, and you also apply a debuff to your opponent, corresponding to the last Arcana card that you gained from your 3rd skill. Keep in mind that applying a new debuff doesn't actually refresh the duration of the previous debuff. And because you don't have infinite mana, you have to choose whether you want to deal more damage or take less damage. So basically you can memorize what each of the debuffs do, or you can just use your 4 as soon as it becomes available to get rid of your mana as quickly as possible for Elysium. When you don't have the mana for 4, you can press 5 instead. It doesn't really do anything, but it's a button for you to press, so you're not bored when you're waiting for 3 to cool down. You could say that it's, you know, useless. Anyway, moving on. Once you see Arcana number 20, Judgment, you can press 2 again to apply the Warp. Oh, sorry, I mean Zawardo. And at this point you're not gonna believe me, but you have to press 3 and 4 again for damage. Press 3 a total of 11 times for 22 stacks. And just before the Zawardo expires, press 2 again for a large nuke. So to summarize the combo, 2, then 3 20 times, then 2 again, then 3 11 times, then 2 again. And whenever you have the mana, use 4. When you don't have the mana, use 5. The nuke is actually pretty good, comparable to Chronomancer's. And your DPS, especially in Zawardo mode, is actually pretty high. But you have to keep in mind it takes you roughly half a minute to get to that mode, and another half minute to get to the nuke. If you look at the numbers, the damage output of the class is good. But how often do you come across a situation where you want to deal damage at a delay to exactly 2 targets? The same argument can be applied to the farming performance of the class. When farming the monsters at /join Revenant, the performance actually ends up being comparable to, well, Revenant. And in scenarios with exactly 2 targets, or wherever the line is blurred between a boss and a regular monster, Arcana Invoker ends up beating even the top tier farmers like Archmage. On the other hand, I had to specify which scenarios it's good in, meaning it's only average in other places. I gave the class a relatively high survivability rating because you start with 80% defense and technically you can sort of maintain it. Instead of doing your normal combo, you can reset your damage resistance to the maximum by pressing 2 again every time you have it available. It's not a good idea, but you can. In terms of support, you can apply some interesting debuffs to the enemy, and some of them even stack together in a multiplicative way. But in the end, low numbers are low numbers. As a result of the mediocre damage, survivability, and debuffs, I don't recommend you take this class to Ultra Rooms. You can clear some of the easier ones, but chances are your team could have 3v1'd it anyway. And as for PvP, it could technically be decent, but in a world where some classes one-shot you from 100 to 0, and other classes can permanently stun you, I don't recommend this one. In general, I don't recommend you spend your time farming for this class, but you can get it for insignias, and clearing the weekly ultras is a really good way to farm gold, so you might as well pick up an extra class to farm with once in a while. In fact, they are looking to buff the class. The defensive combo will be viable, you will get a better HOT, the 5 skill won't be useless, and your damage will be more front-loaded. I'm gonna leave a note if the buffs happen, but you can always get my app and get up-to-date information on the classes I review. And that graphic I showed earlier, I wonder if I'm gonna use them for future videos. Only one way to find out.